A spike of COVID-19 cases in Windsor, Essex, coming on a record-setting day for the province. More on those local cases and what you need to know before you start your Thanksgiving weekend. Now, if you've been online today, you may have noticed a familiar face on Google. Today's doodle is celebrating Mary Ann Shadd's 197th birthday. We speak with one of her descendants about the honor. As we take a look outside on this gorgeous fall Friday, we find ourselves a little fret. We do have a full look at that forecast coming up with Colette Kennedy later tonight. I'm Chris Hensing. Thanks for watching. The highest ever daily number of new cases in Ontario, 939. And here in Windsor, Essex, the highest spike in almost 2 months. The second day in a row that our province has seen a record-breaking number of cases, creating some new restrictions in some cities.
Effective Saturday, 12:01 a.m., we're implementing new public health measures for Toronto, Ottawa, and Peel Region. Restaurants and bars will be closed for indoor dining. Takeout delivery and outdoor dining will continue. Indoor gyms and fitness centers will be closed. Outdoor services and fitness centers will be permitted. Cinemas, theaters, casinos, racing establishments, museums, galleries, and attractions will all be closed in these communities.
Now, the Chief Medical Officer of Health is urging everyone in Ontario to limit trips to essential purposes only. We'll have a full report on all of those changes coming up. But the local health unit today reported 21 new cases in our region. 17 of those cases are people who are agricultural workers from a Kingsville farm. For more on this, we're joined live by the CBC's Tamina Aziz, live in Kingsville. Tamina, for weeks in the summer, farms in Essex County were dealing with multiple cases of COVID-19. That seemed to have slowed down. Why is it happening again now?
Chris, during this morning's health unit update, CEO Teresa Marentet says that the farm in question, which they didn't name, has good practices in place, but living conditions once again is a factor in the spread of COVID-19 among these workers. I spoke to a few migrant rights activists, a few migrant rights advocates. I spoke with some and they say they're not surprised by the news. This week, the health unit updated its Section 22 order in relation to farms and migrant workers. Some of these updates include ensuring all employees are exclusively working within one location, accurate and updated contact information for all employees is available, and conducting daily active screenings for symptoms. The health unit CEO says this update is not in relation to this outbreak, but migrant rights workers say while health units are more engaged with this population, not much has changed in preventing the spread of COVID-19. They also say agri-farm workers in Ontario are also being housed in crowded and inadequate conditions and access to timely medical services.
Migrant agricultural workers want to have those conversations directly with healthcare providers. They want to hear directly from government officials about where the money is coming from, if they will have income replacement, how exactly is it going to work. They also, I know of individuals who have been hospitalized and are not receiving translators. It's just all along the way from the point of prevention to the point of infection, and even in cases where workers have seen complications, they're completely unaccompanied.
She says these numbers are alarming, and what these migrant workers need right now is a pathway to access medical care independently and have continued access to these services. Chris.
Tamina, we find you in Kingsville tonight. This is where it happened, at that farm. What's the mayor saying about this?
Chris, Kingsville Mayor Nelson Santos says he's concerned about these numbers. He says that it's alarming, but he takes comfort in knowing that there are safety measures put in place. He says the situation is contained and controlled, and that those who have tested positive for COVID-19 are isolated, and the spread or community spread is minimal. He says he's aware that these cases stem from congregate living conditions, and that there are efforts put in place to to provide different and improved spaces.
Having them in such close proximity is, questions and concerns we've been raising over the past few months, and certainly in the recent dialogues with the province. Again, the Ministry of Agriculture just a couple of weeks ago, having an opportunity to sit with Minister Hardeman, speaking about the amendments and changes we're going to, help support in terms of reducing the risks through the type of housing we currently have, and see changes, come down the line, sooner rather than later.
He says screening protocols are put in place. Workers have to answer questions about their health prior to going to work. He also urges them to continue washing their hands, wearing masks, and take extra precaution when getting near people who aren't in their bubble. Chris.
Thanks to Tamina. The CBC's Tamina Aziz live tonight. With 939 new COVID-19 infections today, the province is reimposing restrictions on 3 hotspots. That's going to be Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa. It's all in an effort to get a handle on rapidly rising case numbers to keep hospitals from being overwhelmed. Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley with the details.
Even before arriving at Queen's Park, Premier Doug Ford had been told what was coming.
Didn't sleep a wink last night.
The bad news that kept Ford up? More than 900 new cases of COVID-19 in Ontario, shattering the previous single-day record set just yesterday. At an emergency meeting, Ford's cabinet considers tighter restrictions on the province's hotspots. The result? Toronto, Peel Region, and Ottawa go back to a version of Stage 2.
How difficult, how painful it was to make this decision.
For the next 4 weeks in these hotspots, no indoor drinking or dining at bars, nightclubs, and restaurants. Cinemas, casinos, and conference venues are closed. Gyms and fitness centers are shut down. Doctors, nurses, hospital officials, and public health experts have been calling for such measures for the past 2 weeks, even before this.
Today's numbers, they're deeply concerning. Ontario is now in the second wave of COVID-19.
That was September 28th. This was just on Tuesday.
Opposite. We're flattening the curve. We're putting the protocols in.
Today, Ford was asked, why did he wait?
It was the single toughest decision I've made since I've taken office, bar none.
Modeling provided to Ford last month put Ontario on track for 1,000 new cases a day by mid-October. Yet today's number seems to have caught him by surprise.
I remember it was a few days ago, there was 500 cases. I thought, okay, can we make it through? And all of a sudden the spike jumped up to over 900.
The new measures in the hotspots include caps of no more than 10 people indoors or 25 outdoors at any social gathering, real estate open house, or wedding reception. Those caps don't apply to schools, colleges, universities, or places of worship. The restrictions take effect at midnight.
We need to act now to keep our schools open, to protect our seniors and our loved ones in long-term care, and to avoid the need for stricter measures in the future.
And if we don't act now, we're going to be in much worse shape in a week down the road or 2 weeks down the road by closing things down.
Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health is also asking everyone in the province to consider leaving home only for essential trips, like going to work, school, getting groceries, or a doctor's appointment. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
And so with that, a lot of questions raised about what to do this weekend in Windsor, Essex. How do you safely celebrate Thanksgiving? Here at CBC Windsor, we asked you how your family is going to be spending this Monday's holiday. And we put some of those comments to our region's Medical Officer of Health. The CBC's Sanjay Maru has more.
Thanksgiving, a time of tradition where we celebrate all we have to be thankful for. Often families and friends travel and gather together to celebrate, but this year, the province says that will have to change.
Don't get involved in large groups. 20, 30 person family dinners are not what we should be doing right now.
The key message, limit Thanksgiving get-togethers between people within your own household. Here's what some of you had to say about that. Our family will limit our gathering to 10 and keep a safe distance as per the recommended guidelines.
We have had some examples, even in our community, with some of those clusters that resulted in large number of cases. So we definitely are concerned about that when people are coming together in large numbers, it has the risk and potential to spread COVID-19.
Our family won't be getting together for dinner. We'll see my grandbabies through video messaging, and I'm okay with that because at least I will get to see them and remind them how much I love them.
If possible, share a virtual meal. It doesn't mean that if you're not meeting in person physically, but there's always option to connect with them virtually.
What a joke! Keep your distance from people in your household? Get real. Stupidest thing I have ever heard.
There is no requirement for you to reduce your number of households to 10 to meet the requirements. Obviously, if you have a big family that live together, that number could be higher. And the question is obviously goes to anyone who is not part of your household, who doesn't live with you. How do you interact with them? And if bringing them in exceeds the 10, which is the current social gathering requirement, then you will be in violation of that requirement. I understand that people are maybe feeling left out, feeling frustrated with following all these guidelines. But I think these guidelines, it benefits you. It benefits you, it benefits your family.
The main takeaway? Celebrate Thanksgiving with the people you already live with just for this year. It'll help curb the spread of COVID-19, and that'll mean less people to have to share the turkey with. Sanjay Maru, CBC News, Windsor.
One benefit of the way things have kind of gone. 2 Erie Street businessmen have teamed up to provide 500 meals for those in need next week.
I thought this year, because of COVID, it was a good idea if we could try and do something during Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, because of the restrictions and the current situation with the pandemic, we came up with the idea to do individualized meals and distribute them to areas where people needed it most.
So we're going to be bringing over 500 meals. We're going to be doing some pasta, some chicken, some salad, all individually wrapped so they can hand them out. So we did the Salvation Army, Downtown Mission, Hiatus House, Youth Center, Drouillard Place, just to name a few.
Vela says he wanted to give something back to the community after seeing a rise in customers unable to pay for their prescriptions. Meals will be distributed on Wednesday. With October rent now past due and the federal rent assistance program over, businesses have been anxiously waiting on Ottawa to send them another lifeline. Today, the Prime Minister offered a helping hand. CBC's.
We know this second wave will be even harder for those who get hit. That's why our response needs to be targeted and effective.
A new emergency rent subsidy for businesses struggling to stay open with a significant policy change.
This will provide support to businesses directly, not through landlords.
A move to boost uptake targeted towards those who need it most.
I want to stress that this is not for everyone.
Businesses hit with a 70% revenue decline can apply for 65% of rent costs, but it's a sliding scale.
So it's not one size fits all. There is a range of support you get with your rent based on what your fall in revenue is.
And businesses forced to shut down again because of new public health measures in the second wave can get a 25% rent top-up.
What we are aiming to do with this program is to provide the support to public health authorities, to local officials, to do the right thing without fearing that by doing so, they will be hollowing out these businesses that are so important in their communities.
This is really good news. It will help tens of thousands of businesses make it over the fall and into the winter period. But for those facing another round of shutdowns, this is not going to be enough, and provinces really need to step to the table.
The new program will be administered by the Canada Revenue Agency. The government predicts it will pay out $2.2 billion to businesses within the first few months alone. The new supports will last until next June. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
With nearly 2,000 COVID-19 deaths coming in Ontario's long-term care facilities, the leader of the provincial NDP says that fixing the system will be a priority if the NDP is elected in 2022.
We're going to not renew some licenses as we go through the process. We are going to acquire some of those homes. We're also going to be building more homes. We are going to make sure that there are beefed up regulations, beefed up inspections, and beefed up accountability. As we go through that process.
Horvath says that the party's 8-year plan will see all long-term care facilities transition to a public model. Tens of thousands of spaces will be added and the wait list for care eliminated. The NDP's plan has a price tag of nearly $4 billion a year over 8 years. And by the end of next year, there won't be as many single-use plastics in your life. The federal government is putting a ban on certain objects, but with that announcement came continued support for research at the University of Windsor. They're trying to find out how to remove microplastics from wastewater. Let's start with the big picture. By the end of 2021, these items will be banned. Plastic bags, straws, stir sticks and cutlery, those 6-pack rings, and some takeout containers.
And of course, I mean, as you know, people have been staying at home more, they haven't been going and eating in restaurants, they've been having more takeout, that yes, these items have been used more, but we also recognize that there are alternatives available that people and businesses can use.
Here in Windsor, the university is part of another push by the government to eliminate plastics, specifically microplastics. When plastic breaks down, it gets into the water system and goes through treatment plants like this one here. 99% of microplastic in wastewater, it gets removed during the treatment, but it ends up in the biosolids. We're not going to show you that, but it's the waste turned into pellets and used for fertilizer and soil conditioner for agricultural lands. What's dumped includes those microplastics.
Given the volume and numbers of microplastics applied to agricultural fields, like in particular regions, we then model it up and look at the number that are applied across all of Ontario. It starts to look pretty scary.
Crossman and her team are looking at ways to break that chain.
And so what we then wanted to go on and do was try and find a way to remove those microplastics from the biosolids before they're applied to the soil.
She's looking for a zero-cost, zero-waste way to remove microplastics from the biosolid, something that the federal government is excited about.
I think that, you know, the example that we talked about at the University of Windsor is doing really interesting, exciting, innovative work to try to address a problem that we're all facing.
The research is ongoing at treatment plants across Ontario. How can people help a project like this without getting their hands dirty in the biosolid itself?
This is one point in the cycle where we can take it out. And there's the manufacturing point in the cycle, there's the user point in the cycle, and then there's removal once it's in there. And there's not many mechanisms that have been found that can actually remove microplastics once they're in the environment. So it is really important to reduce our use of plastics in the first place, because once they're in the environment, it is so difficult to take them out.
If you search Google today, you'll see that its doodle features a prominent figure in Windsor's history. The illustration celebrates the 197th birthday of Mary Shadd. Shadd was the first Black woman to publish a newspaper in North America. She started the Provincial Freeman here in Windsor in 1853. She also established an integrated school in Windsor, where City Hall Square is now. The president of the Essex County Black Historical Research Society was thrilled to see her great-great-great-great-aunt featured on Google.
I was amazed this morning. I went onto Google, which is always one of the first things I do because I'm always looking something up, and there she was. So I Beatlemania screamed in my house. I was amazed. But it is wonderful. This is her 197th birthday. We're all gearing up to do big things for her 200th birthday in 3 years, but it's great that she was recognized by Google today.
I think for a lot of us who are local to the Windsor, Essex, and Chatham region, you know, we claim ancestor Mary Ann Shadd Carey as family. So when you wake up and you see her picture on the Google search, you know.
And that doodle was illustrated by Alberta-based guest artist Michelle Theodore. As we take another look outside here, we have a full look at that forecast from Nick Sirkovich. He's going to get into all of the nitty-gritty of what we can expect this Thanksgiving weekend. Joining us now for a live look at the forecast is Nick Sirkovich. Nick, this is a pretty big weekend, Thanksgiving. The sun has been in the forecast for a while for us. We've enjoyed this beautiful stretch during the fall. What do we got coming up?
Well, in typical long weekend forecast fashion, we've got some rain to talk about. I feel like I say that every long weekend. Anyway, it's not going to be a washout, but a little bit of rainfall to talk about, and then also some sunshine as well. So it's not all wet weather. There's a look at the weather headlines. Summer-like weather. We've had it today. We're going to see it again tomorrow. Isolated showers for tomorrow afternoon. And we've got a few showers in the forecast for Monday as well. That associated with Hurricane Delta. It's making landfall right now in Louisiana. We'll talk temperatures first. 24 degrees right now in the Windsor area. Believe it or not, it gets warmer than that as we head through tomorrow. We're also looking at humidex. Didn't think I'd be saying that, but a little bit in the way of humidity for tomorrow. We're sitting generally under clear skies right now. What we're expecting to see, though, as we move through the next 24 hours is increasing cloud cover tomorrow morning. And then this is a cold front. So in advance of it, warm weather pushing in. So temperatures in the high 20s tomorrow. Then showers and the risk of an isolated thunderstorm start to move through sort of mid-afternoon, around 2 to 4 p.m., up around the Sarnia, London area. And then it kind of pushes south as we head toward the later afternoon hours. By the later evening hours, things clear out, and then Sunday, cooler, but a mix of sun and cloud as we head into the forecast there. Winds are going to pick up as well, though. In advance of that front, wind gusts could be as much as about 40, 50 kilometers per hour, locally even more than that. And then the winds, you notice, kind of start to shift around by tomorrow evening. That is in behind the cold front, so sort of cooler, drier weather on the way as we head through Sunday. Forecast for tonight, 16, 17 degrees, mainly clear skies. Tomorrow, again, showers through the afternoon. So I know I've got the rain icon on here, but this is really sort of an afternoon event, and fairly short-lived, only a couple hours or so. Forecast looks like this: 27 degrees, 19 as we head through Sunday with a mix of sun and cloud. A few showers on sort of the backside of what is left of Hurricane Delta, but it won't be a lot of rainfall, and then sort of seasonal temperatures by mid-next week.
Perfect. And hey, a rain is perfect for that after turkey nap. That's like the best time to fall asleep.
Exactly. You know, the little patter of the rain, and you know.
This is well done. This is a great forecast. Thanks
Well,
for this, Nick. Enjoy the weekend with your family, and I really appreciate it.
Bet. You too.
Now, coming up next, we're going to have an update on Donald Trump's condition. The president has been doing interviews. We'll have more. A record number of new COVID-19 cases are being reported in the United States, but the world's most famous coronavirus patient says he's itching to get back out in public. Donald Trump's doctor says he's fine to do so as early as tomorrow. But speaking to Fox News last night, Trump was heard coughing and clearing his throat.
We had 3 debates with Hillary, and on I think the first debate, on the first debate, they oscillated the mic because absentee ballots, absentee ballots are fine.
Because of Trump's COVID diagnosis, today House Speaker Nancy Pelosi introduced a bill to give Congress a role to decide whether a president is fit to govern. Trump is scheduled to undergo a medical exam tonight on TV. As you might guess, it'll be on Fox News. It's a rare 6-year-old who knows the names Rachmaninoff and Mozart. Still more rare is the 6-year-old who can play their music.
Ce que je voudrais faire plus tard, ce sera pianiste.
One day he'd like to be a pianist, and why not? After showing signs of perfect pitch as a toddler, quickly grasping piano lessons at 4. This summer, young Guillaume picked up the Young Talent Prize at a competition in the birthplace of Mozart. His parents says he's now interested in learning to play the violin as well. They're not pushing him. They say it's up to him to decide what he wants to do in the future. It's 6:29 p.m. and that's it for CBC Windsor News. I clearly have no future in music, but I do have a future that has a turkey in it. For all of your information about what you should and shouldn't be doing this weekend around the public health measures, go to cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks for watching.